Hello, welcome to this new episode of interviews with Microsoft Fabric product team. And in this interview, we have Josh Caplan from OneLake team. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hey, Reza, thanks for having me.
Thank you again for your time. We had a similar call last year as well, and really looking forward to have this call again. Now, just before we start talking about the features, announcement, roadmap, and things like that, can you introduce yourself to our audience, who you are, what part of the product you are leading, uh, and some background?
Yeah. So I'm Josh Caplan. I lead product management. I'm the director of product management for OneLake at Microsoft. And that includes really everything OneLake, the whole OneLake service, shortcuts, the new OneLake security, everything you see going in and out of OneLake.
That is great. One of the things I really like about this whole Microsoft Fabric, let's say, tool set is the thought behind the OneLake, because there are a lot of products and services out there, cloud service providers, that they don't have this idea of like one layer of data to save everything in it. So it's really good thought of.
Yeah.
When they actually added in Microsoft Fabric, can you share a little bit background on
Yeah. I
that?
mean, when we started Fabric, OneLake wasn't really part of the picture. Um, we knew we'd do something with data lakes, but we didn't know what it would take or what it would actually mean to even have a SaaS data lake as part of the service. So there was any value in even doing that. But we talked with a lot of customers, and we saw they just had these really high expectations for data lakes, and there's really nothing out there serving that purpose. I compare it a lot to file sharing. If you think back to how we used to do file sharing, prior to these SaaS services coming around, you would essentially buy storage solutions, buy servers, really, rack them and create network file shares and use folders with permissions to really share files. Dropbox comes along, later OneDrive. They give you that SaaS service for sharing files. And they evolved from more than just file storage and file sharing. They evolved into collaboration over files. They evolved into governance of files. And I think the data lakes are in the same spot. No one really sold you a data lake. They sold you storage solutions, and you build data lake patterns. So there really was a place for a SaaS service for data lakes. And I think the big difference here is, a data lake as a SaaS service gives you that solution out of the box. So it's not giving you the components, it's not giving you a pattern, it's giving you a service that does, it does a data lake. That is a data lake. And you really then focus on the data. You focus on how you're going to use it versus building that data lake yourself. So it was, it was a surprising idea. I think when we kind of had this revelation that there was something there, and we were so surprised there was really nothing out there that literally just gave you a data lake. There are catalogs, there are other components that you could piece together to build that data lake pattern, but actually giving to you as a SaaS service seems like a novel idea. And it is something that we focused heavily on with Fabric. It was probably one of the harder strategies we could have gone with. If we look back at how many engines we had in Fabric, still have in Fabric, and we've added a few more since we've launched. They were very different engines built over very different periods of time. You had the data warehouse engine, which initially was acquired as a totally different product from a totally different company. You had analysis services, which was built part of a different team for, again, very different purposes and evolved into Power BI. You have Spark, which was open source and brought in, and excuse me, and this is another manifestation that's in Fabric. All these have to work together. All these have to share data, and that was really the first goal of OneLake, was how do we seamlessly just share the data across these engines, so you can you write the data once and use it in all these places without data movement, without data duplication, without going through another engine to do that. Really, that was the first challenge. And what you'll see now, as that's evolved, and that was really what we went out with first. Put your data in OneLake; it works in every Fabric engine. What we announced at FabCon was OneLake Security, which takes that to another level. Not only now can you use the data in every engine, but you can have the data secured once, and you secure the data in OneLake, and use it now in every engine with the same security. That's going to be another big step forward.
Yeah, that is something that I've been like when I've talked with my customers, users of Microsoft Fabric everywhere. All of their question somehow had this security concern in it that, like, is there some ability coming in the future that they would set up security in the layer of data down at the uh, data level, and it goes all the way to the visualization end so that people can see it. And that was a fantastic move you did. I'm sure this was not an easy not
No,
easy
definitely
to
not.
do.
It
Yeah.
was actually a pretty big challenge. It was much bigger than we thought it would be. Yeah, I think we had aspirations of actually getting out a security model with public preview of Fabric.
Mm,
And it wasn't as simple as we put security in OneLake and it all just works. And you could
mm,
think maybe it is because every engine's pulling data from OneLake, but like I said, multiple different engines, multiple different decades, multiple different purposes, all having to work off the same data. Many of those engines have caches that they serve data off of, and they have multiple users serving data off the
right.
same cache. So think analysis services all in memory.
Yes,
Um, you're not going to go back to the lake every time to check security.
that is
So
right.
we needed to come up with a way to secure the data performantly and maintain those caches. Allow those engines to do the secret sauce that they always do to give you good performance, but
Mm,
also somehow get the same results, get the same consistency across every engine. So if you've ever dealt with SQL nulls and collations in
mm,
SQL, compare that to analysis services, compare that to Spark. Again, all very different purposes, all very different language and dialects. So to be able to secure your data once and have the same results in every single engine with good performance has been the challenge that took us maybe about almost closer to 4 years to get done. And I wouldn't say we're quite done yet, but the first bits are out. It's going to be a very different leap forward here, where now literally you secure that data once in the lake. This is another thing we thought about when we were designing this. It's not a catalog feature. It's not a separate security feature. It's a OneLake feature. It's part of the OneLake. You secure your data the same place where you store your data and use it everywhere.
yes, yeah, and that is how it should be, because we don't want to, like, duplicate the security configuration in Power BI and in warehousing and in Lakehouse. Now we define it in where the data is, and then everywhere this is going to be
Travels
followed.
with the data. Yeah,
Yes,
use it in every engine. Use it across shortcuts. We we definitely gave you lots of ways to reuse the data across multiple places. So every single one of them had to be. We had to kind of check the box and make sure that OneLink security flowed across everything.
yes, yeah, that's right. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is supporting row level security and column level security, object level security, all of that.
Yeah. So row level security, column level security, table
Mhm.
security, folder
Yes,
security. And
right.
ultimately, there's multiple interfaces you can access this data through. So if you're going through pure OneLake, it's going to be files and folders. If you're going
Mhm.
through, let's say one of the Fabric engines, it's going to be whatever that engine has. So it's going to be a SQL table, a Spark table, a analysis services table. All tables, but still slightly different semantics on each one. So you got
All right.
tables, you got files, and you have one security model that secures all of that. So if you access it from analysis, let's say you don't have access to a column within a table. You try to access through analysis services, you won't see that column. You try to access those files directly in OneLake, you won't be able to access those files because you don't have access to that column. So no matter which interface you go to, the right semantics are applied and the same security is applied.
That is right. And is this available now, or this is coming?
This is available now. You can sign up for the preview, and yeah, just go to the actual docs page for it. They'll give you a link to sign up for the preview, and we'll
So
activate
it's a
you.
private.
Yeah, it's public, but it's gated. So there's still some rough edges that we're working out. I hope to remove the gate in the next few months and open up completely wide. But you sign up, we'll let you in, and you can start providing us feedback. There'll be some more. So some of those rough edges will get worked out. Some of the performance, there's more performance updates, enhancements being added. Um, and then there's some new functionality coming in. So like I said, it's RLS, column level security, and table security. Your RLS will get a little bit more advanced. There'll be multi-table column security, sorry, multi-table row level security with dynamic RLS. So you'll be able to use expressions in there. It'll have lookup tables, make it a lot more powerful at that point. Some of the other things coming into like read permissions. Sorry, read permissions are there. Write permissions on folders will come in, and a few other little tricks coming in soon. that you'll start to see getting added to the preview.
Awesome. That's exciting. Awesome. Thank you. And there are also other like integration of OneLake with other environments like Snowflake and Iceberg and all of that. I think we have some really interesting areas
Yeah.
to work.
Um, so yeah, we when we launched Fabric 2, we took this big bet on Delta Lake,
Mhm.
and we reworked all of our engines to write their tabular data to OneLake in Delta Lake format.
Yeah.
That's how we share our data across each engine. Um, a lot of the rest of the world went with Iceberg in that time.
Yeah.
And you start to see the rising momentum and popularity around Iceberg, which is another file format. They're both based on Parquet, which is the great thing. So the data
All right.
itself is stored in Parquet. They're just different metadata formats,
Mhm.
different JSON files essentially for the metadata. Um, so we want to make sure we maintain this interoperability, not just with our engines as they evolve, but with other engines. So we announced a little while back, I think it was in FabCon Europe, that we would do this seamless translation between Iceberg and Delta Lake, because we can do that. It's all stored in Parquet, and it's just really have to
Mhm.
change the metadata format. So today, if you land data in OneLake, either through a shortcut or physically in there, that's an Iceberg format, we will translate the Iceberg metadata to Delta metadata, so it'll work with every Fabric engine.
Right.
And we partner with Snowflake on this. So Snowflake can actually now write data directly to OneLake. It can read and write the data that it writes. And it'll work with all Fabric engines because we'll do the translation over to Delta. And we're in the process of doing the reverse, where all data in OneLake that's in Delta format will also be provided as Iceberg as well. So when
Correct.
Snowflake wants to read it as Iceberg, it can do that. Um, our goal here really is that customers don't have to be aware of the different storage formats.
Mm.
Um, you land your data in OneLake in any of the formats we support, and it'll work in any of the engines that support at least one of those formats. So give you that
Correct.
ultimate
That part of the
interoperability.
information is abstract from them. They just use it the way it is, right?
Yep, yeah. To you it just works. To us, it's a lot of work also to make that happen. The translation's been a little challenging too, and yeah, these formats are a little bit different in every single engine that uses them. So try it out. We know it works well with Snowflake. We know it works well with several other engines. Um, but if you find any rough edges there, please reach out to us. We're looking to fix those things as fast as possible.
Sounds great.
Everything's used slightly differently. We actually had a challenge with when we first did Snowflake. We got the format perfectly right, but they were compressing their Parquet files with something we didn't support in our data warehouse and in Power
Right.
BI. So we had to go make sure that those. So it was nothing to do with the open standard, but we had to make sure that those engines actually supported the compression format that was on the Parquet files. So little things
Correct.
like that can always get you, even with these open standards. There's never um, there's never 100% alignment. So I mean, it's a lot of trying a bunch of different things to make sure we have coverage of everything.
Correct. And from let's say from the front end point of view, this means that Snowflake users can have this ability to have direct lake to their data stored in
Yep.
one lake because it supports the Iceberg. So that is the, let's
Yeah.
say, front end meaning of it, which is great. Would we have, I'm just asking, you may not have this in the plan, but would we have in the future the plan to say, I want my one lake data to be in Delta Lake format or in Iceberg, or that stays Delta
Yeah, so it's basically up to the native writer. So when you write with Snowflake, it's going to be an Iceberg natively, and then we'll
Lake?
give the translation to Delta. Ultimately, it shouldn't matter for you, especially as the formats are becoming a bit more unified.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it shouldn't really matter as long as we can express the metadata in either format. The same
All right.
optimization can be there. I think the tricks are going to be really about how do engines optimize over these? And I think that'll be kind of the next evolution. Different engines like some like small files, some like large files, some like medium,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no real consensus around that. And we'll be interested to see how that evolves a bit, or how engines kind of work around that. Um,
Correct.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Iceberg and both Delta go moving forward. They should be becoming more aligned, but who knows? Maybe a third format will emerge. Our our thinking is the customer shouldn't have to know.
Yes.
And as long as the data is expressed in a format we can understand, we'll handle the translation, so it just works in all places.
Correct, and especially because the data file itself is a Parquet file anyway, Iceberg or Delta Lake, and so the efficiency is pretty much the same. It is just
Yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah, it's just literally just metadata. How do you
Mhm.
express one thing in the other location? And there can be certain optimizations that are in there in terms of partitioning, clustering.
Mhm.
Um, Deletion vectors are different in both formats. It's supposed to be getting better in Iceberg 3.0, where they plan to unify the deletion vector format. Um, but who knows? They're getting close together for now. Things can always change.
Yes, yeah. And one thing, like when we talked about this just came into my mind. But is I just wonder, is this something like this in the plan or not? Right now, the Parquet files in Delta Lake format, after we make an investigation or things like that, they will stay for like a period of 30 days and things like that before we vacuum it out. Probably this is more like a data engineering question. But is there a plan to expand that to make it more flexible so that if someone wants to expand it to have more days? To be able to do that, or maybe
The
not.
On the iceberg side, or
In the Delta Lake format, in our slide, in the
hmm,
OneLake side.
that I'm not sure. So the vacuuming right now is actually done as part of the lake house.
All right,
Yeah.
that's the engineering part of configuration.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I know they have some more plans around their maintenance APIs,
Correct. Right.
but and hopefully they give you more control there. But I don't know what's actually in their plan right now.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. Yes. Awesome. So, what do you see as the vision of OneLake? What do you see the future of
Hmm.
this becoming in the years to come?
I think there's a lot of runway still for OneLake. I look at the trajectory of something like OneDrive, SharePoint. Yeah, it had I think a bit of a rougher start than I think where we started with OneLake, where
Mhm.
yeah, and they were also very pre SaaS, pre cloud. But eventually they got very widespread adoption. Everything putting your data in one place and having that interoperability and that evolution into collaboration, that evolution into governance. I see that very much being OneLake's path, where it really becomes
Mhm.
your single data lake for your entire organization. That would include Microsoft data. That would include non-Microsoft data. Um, Imagine having all your data in one place and be able to discover it, use it, secure it, and think how that's going to
Mhm.
evolve with AI, where you need to find data.
Correct.
These silos prevent you from getting to the data you need. You have a lot of value in the data that you have, but being able to discover it and use it is generally the trick. So there's just
That is
a
right.
ton
Yes.
of value in having this single lake for your entire organization with all your data in it for not just analytics, but also for AI. There's a ton of runway here. In the short term, we got a lot of work to do still. There's more data sources to get in. We got to get finish OneLake security. The OneLake data catalog is still growing and evolving. Yeah, so short term, I think there's very clear steps we're going to continue to take. Long term, it's going to involve. Yeah, my goal is it's going to evolve into your single lake for your entire organization.
That sounds great. And do you ever see that this ever replace something like OneDrive at some point?
Oh, as OneDrive is for documents, where OneLake is for data. I think documents are starting to become more data, um,
Okay.
uh, more useful for data, I should say, as AI is evolving. There's definitely going to be a close synergy there. I don't know if there'd ever be a
Mhm.
replace there, but they each serve their purpose, but they will come closer together for sure.
Correct. Yes. Sounds great. And do you have any exciting things you are working on which you would like to share? Something that we haven't talked about?
Several. I can't share quite yet, though. Some new
Yeah.
shortcut sources
So that we
coming that I'm excited about. New shortcut features coming that I'm excited about. OneLake security. I
that's a,
mentioned some of the new things coming there that I'm really excited about. That one I just want to get done. I mean, it'll always be evolving for a while, but I want to get done to the sense where we get it to a GA, so you can actually start taking your production workloads. you can start using it with your production workloads. Let me put it that way. So yeah, that one is really about getting fit and finish on the features we have, closing a couple of the major feature gaps there, just get it GA. And then we'll evolve it much more beyond that after we GA. Yeah, there's a couple sources coming in that I said I'm pretty excited about. Snowflake interop, I'm very excited about, and we shared our full vision on that. If you haven't seen it, I think we did it in Build. We showed a full demo video of what the full
Mhm.
integration is going to look like with deeper UI integration, and that's just going to be fantastic when it's done. And I want to have that level of integration with any partner who wants to partner with us, where your data can natively live in OneLake. It can be used with any Fabric engine, but data from any Fabric engine can be used with you. OneLake security can go back and forth, and you can also use shortcuts across all these engines within Fabric and without. That's really the goal there, and I think the Snowflake integration shows that very well.
That sounds great. For our audience to connect with you, we would paste your LinkedIn URL down below. But do you where is the place that normally you get the ideas of the new feature coming and things like
Yeah,
that?
we're on the same Fabric Ideas site as the rest of Fabric as well. Please, yeah, it's a great place to go and vote up ideas. I'm trying to get more involved in Reddit as well.
Mhm.
I'm still on X, LinkedIn. Um, all those places are great sources of information, great sources of feedback.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll share the link to the ideas website as well. This is a place that you can go and share your ideas, and just make sure that you tag it so that the right team can watch
There's a
it.
OneLake
And
channel there.
yeah, and once you get enough votes, those will go into the pipeline based on priority and things like that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
FabCon Europe's coming up. That's also a great place
Oh
to
yes,
meet in
yeah.
person and discuss. And
Thank
I
you
could
for
also be at
mentioning
Build.
that. Yes, yeah. So we have the Microsoft Build coming, which is I think in about a month, something like that, maybe less.
Yeah, sometime in May.
Yeah, so that would be in Seattle, I think,
I believe it's
and then
yeah.
FabCon Europe is in Vienna, which is exciting as well. So for all of our European community, this is a great place to connect with the team. Most of Microsoft Fabric team will be there and go and learn and network as well at the same time.
Yes, it's a great. All these are great conferences to actually meet in person. Um, yeah, if you're unable to meet in person, I think the Reddit community has been growing very strong. The Ideas site's still great. LinkedIn's still great. All places where we're monitoring, we're actively participating, and just looking for your feedback.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for your
Yeah,
time.
thank
Really
you.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great
And
talking to you.
oh, you're welcome. And thank you everyone for watching us. Until the next interview. Bye.